From our studio in Georgetown, this is the TV Delmarva Channel 14 News at 4.
Good day, Delmarva. Reporter Rob Petrie here for TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. Straight ahead, we sit down with Janice Lorrah. That's the mom who sued the governor over the school mask mandate, who is now running for the Republican nomination for State Auditor. The city of Seaford has adopted a brand new ordinance to curb pedestrian accidents and fatalities, and a new program is aimed at helping foster care youth with funding to further their education. These stories and more coming up, but weather first with Hunter Alton.
Good Wednesday, Delmarva. Well, we have made it halfway through the week so far. In today's weather conditions, it really depends on location, because we've been seeing a big temperature gradient across the region, all thanks to a very strong sea breeze, basically taking Delmarva and splitting it right in half, while the eastern locations are significantly cooler into the 60s, and the western portions, just on the west side of that sea breeze, are in the 90s right now. Taking a live look outside of TV Delmarva Studios here in Georgetown, we have the sunshine, we have the towering cumulus clouds right towards our northwest, right along the sea breeze boundary. Our temperatures, though, are kind of like right in the middle of everything. Currently 84 degrees here in Georgetown. Take a look at satellite and radar. If you look right along the immediate coastlines, you can see there's quite a bit of fog out there because those temperatures are right now into the 60s. But if you look directly in through Delmarva, splitting it right in half, where those clusters of clouds keep popping up, that's where that sea breeze boundary is right now, basically right along the Maryland-Delaware line. And further west of that, your temperatures are much warmer and a lot more humid as well. Now we're watching out for the potential of some isolated thunderstorms maybe popping along that boundary as well as we get into the evening hours. But if we don't get any thunderstorms today, don't worry, we're going to definitely be seeing them tomorrow with a more significant threat as far as widespread thunderstorm activity. Now let's have a look at those current temperatures elsewhere on Delmarva this afternoon, and you can easily tell where that sea breeze boundary is just because of the big temperature spread across the region. Right along the ocean front, only 68 degrees in Ocean City. The further west you go, 89 for Salisbury, 84 for Pocomoke City. We're in the 90s for both Easton and Centerville, 81 for Dover, 87 in Wilmington, and currently 88 degrees in Newark. We've also seen a fairly humid air mass in store. Dew points right now in the mid and upper 60s for the most part, but there's some isolated spots, especially around Pocomoke City, that we're seeing a little bit more oppressive humidity with dew points in the lower 70s. Now take a look at current sustained winds. If you're east of that boundary, your wind is onshore from the southeast and east, anywhere between about 5 and 10 miles per hour. But if you are on the west side of that boundary, you're looking at winds from the southwest and west between 5 and 10 miles per hour as well. And you can see there's a little bit of a calm area. That's where that sea breeze is right now, and it's been holding steady throughout much of this afternoon. Take a look at current wind gusts. Generally, most locations have been seeing wind gusts between 10 and 15 miles per hour, with the strongest just on the west side of that boundary, currently gusting to 14 in Centerville and Easton at this hour. Now, we do have the slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm for the rest of this afternoon and evening, but a bigger threat for storms is in store for your Thursday. But at least the good news is we do have a nice, fantastic weekend ahead. I have all the details regarding that thunderstorm threat here in just a little bit.
Janice Lorrah, the Hockessin mom and attorney who sued the governor over the school mask mandate, is now running for the Republican nomination for Delaware State Auditor. We got the chance to sit down with Lorrah just this morning, where she told us why she's running.
If you went to sleep in January 2020 and woke up today, you wouldn't recognize our country, our state, our schools, our community. And I think that part of the reason why is because we have elected leaders that don't represent the people, and they are only interested in representing themselves, and it's business as usual. And that's reflective of the type of government that we have. Confidence in government is at an all-time low, and I really wanted to figure out a way to do something about that. And I think in order to regain our confidence in government, it's going to take somebody who is willing to shed a light on our problems, and who also can stand up when things are going off the rails. And I have a history of doing that, so I think I'm a pretty good fit. So I've been a small business owner and I've been an attorney for 20 years. A lot of my career has been spent helping the lost, the littlest, and the last. I have represented people who have problems with family members stealing from them. I've represented people who are have problems with their children in schools. I represented one family whose daughter was the victim of mean girls, online bullying, cyberbullying, in-school bullying, and the school officials wouldn't do anything. So I've represented that family in order to straighten things out. When government goes off the rails, I'm a person to call. I've also represented and advocated for elderly individuals when they can no longer advocate for themselves. Sorry, that's my cat. Sorry.
I love it.
Her name is Liberty. I have gone after family members who steal from their elderly relatives. I've advocated for our most vulnerable citizens, senior citizens who can no longer advocate for themselves, and I've gotten guardians appointed for them. And again, just if you need help, you call me. Check me out at JaniceForThePeople.com. Also follow me on Facebook. Sign up to be a volunteer, to also be part of our blogs. We have a lot of interesting, fun things planned for the summer, and I want everyone to be a part of it.
Now, Lorrah is running against incumbent Democrat State Auditor Kathy McGinnis, who as of this time does not have a primary challenger. Well, the city of Seaford has adopted a new ordinance to curb pedestrian accidents and fatalities. City officials passed the new pedestrian ordinance, which prohibits pedestrians from being upon a median unless that person is in the process of crossing within 200 feet of an intersection at any street or right-of-way within the limits of the city of Seaford. The 200-foot line has been marked on the impacted roadways on either side of the intersections. Now, some example intersections that this ordinance applies to include the intersections of Sussex Highway at Tharp Road and Herring Run Road, and the intersections of Sussex Highway and Norman Eskridge Highway and Middleford Road. The ordinance was brought forth to City Council in an attempt to aid public safety amid an unfortunate trend of rising pedestrian and vehicular accidents. Meanwhile, a new program is aimed at helping foster care youth with funding to further their education. Only about a half of youth raised in foster care end up finishing high school, and get this, less than 3% graduate from a four-year college. Now, this has led Delaware State Treasurer Colleen Davis to announce the Aspire 529 program. Now, Aspire 529 is a pilot program for youth in the foster care system to help pay for their expenses related to college or vocational training. The annual awards are available on a first-come, first-served basis, with youth able to submit one application per year. A total of up to 20 qualified applicants will be eligible to receive an award of $529. That money can be used towards accompanying costs associated with obtaining a degree in higher education, such as paying for books and supplies needed for school. For more details on how to apply, visit treasurer.delaware.gov/aspire529. Coming up, Governor John Carney has announced the 2022 Compassionate Champion Awards. More details on the way. Don't go away. Governor John Carney has announced the 2022 Compassionate Champion awardees. The Compassionate Champion Awards recognize individuals, organizations, and educational institutions across the state of Delaware that provide trauma-informed services. Now, back in 2018, you may remember that the Family Services Cabinet Council implemented Executive Order 24 that was launched to make Delaware a trauma-informed state. Now, as part of the initiative, Delaware is committed to ensuring all environments that serve children and adults in the state are working to embody practices of trauma-informed care. An award ceremony will be held for the winners June 14th. Well, it's looking like we're in store for potential thunderstorms tonight and mild conditions as we get a preview of your Pinpoint weather forecast with Hunter Alton.
Hot and humid conditions will persist throughout the afternoon and evening hours and will be sticking around for your Thursday as well. An isolated pop-up thunderstorm is still possible this evening, but a bigger threat looms for Thursday. Strong to severe storms are back in the forecast tomorrow, but the good news is we have a wonderful weekend in store coming up. Now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, I'll give you the rundown of what to expect with these storms tomorrow here on TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News. Alrighty, Delmarva, let's get right into the pinpoint forecast for the overnight hours into the day on Thursday, because we got some very active weather expected going into tomorrow. But going into the overnight hours first, there still might be the chance of an isolated thunderstorm earlier on, especially along that sea breeze boundary on the western portions of Delmarva and even the northern portions as well. But generally, everybody else will be looking at some mostly cloudy skies with some more mild and humid conditions as well. Overnight lows of 68 to 72 degrees with some light winds from the south between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Take a look at Futurecast. Rest of the overnight hours into the day on Thursday. This is 8 o'clock this evening. Pretty much everybody else here in Delmarva is going to be looking at some calm conditions, but northern portions could be looking at a couple of some isolated thunderstorms developing, with temperatures on the west side of that boundary in the mid and upper 80s, and as well as east of that boundary, much cooler air from the ocean, where we could be looking at near 64 degrees in Ocean City. Going into 2 o'clock in the morning, we do get a break in the clouds just a little bit, but it's going to be a mixture between mostly clear, partly cloudy, and even mostly cloudy skies, as temperatures are still fairly mild into the low and mid 70s. And then waking up tomorrow morning, we're going to be clearing out those clouds, and we're going to be having that sunshine with some very mild temperatures waking up tomorrow morning, upper 70s to about 80 degrees, and getting even warmer for the early afternoon hours. Widespread 90s once again for the inland locations, but if you notice off towards our west, we're starting to see some thunderstorms beginning to develop, and especially by the mid-afternoon hours, we got widespread areas of scattered thunderstorms, some of which could be on the strong to severe side as well. While they continue to move out towards the east at 10 o'clock, we still got some leftover areas of some showers and maybe a few bedded thunderstorms. But things will be clearing out and will be cooling down as we get into towards this weekend. Thursday forecast overall, scattered thunderstorms, some maybe on the strong to severe side as well, with some very hot and humid conditions. Afternoon highs of 87 to 92 degrees. With some light winds from the south at about 5 miles per hour. Now, from the Storm Prediction Center for Thursday, we have a region-wide slight risk of severe weather. That's a level 2 out of 5 risk for some of these thunderstorms tomorrow. Could be producing some damaging winds, and as well as some very heavy rainfall as well. And take a look at the severe threats for your Thursday. Now, I'm being quite generous for the tornado threat, maybe putting an isolated threat, but really the threat for tornadoes is extremely low, because we lack a lot of low-level shear needed for tornadoes, and as well as a low threat for some large hail. But we still might see a couple of storms with some quarter-size hail. But the main threats is going to be high winds and heavy rainfall. We could be looking at some high winds 50 to 70 miles per hour and some heavy rain rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour within these storms. Now, here's a product I want to show you of why we do have a damaging wind threat for tomorrow. My favorite product I use is low-level lapse rates. This gives me a telltale sign at the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere, and this is a scale that goes all the way up to 10, and we are nearly maxing it out with multiple values over 9, giving me a great indication that there is some nice mixing in the atmosphere, so I'm bringing some strong winds down towards the surface. And I can even show you that with one of my other favorite tools is forecasting soundings, which is basically a complete slice through the atmosphere. And I want you to pay attention to this chart right here. So this is temperature, this red line here, and this is the temperatures above freezing, and that's below freezing going up through height. Temperatures right near the surface at 92 degrees, and only about 2 kilometers up, we're at the freezing mark. So you take very strong surface heating and very cold mid-level temperatures aloft, and that's why this graph is so steep. That's why this value is just so high for low-level lapse rates, because we have excellent mixing in the atmosphere. And then combine it with some very, very high levels of moisture. We're looking at precipitable water values over 2 inches in some areas. So you have a combination of great surface heating, cold mid-level temperatures, and a lot of moisture in the air. This is a prime prime ingredients for wet microbursts with these storms tomorrow, which can produce almost tornado-like damage in some of the strongest cells. And especially, this is something you have to watch out for because microbursts come without any warning at all, and we can't tell any signs beforehand. So keep in mind, we could be looking at some fairly strong winds with these storms tomorrow, especially once they get their act together. Now, as we switch gears to take a look at the marine conditions, you better get out there earlier before these storms arrive later on in the afternoon. So take a look at the beach forecast for the Atlantic. Chance for scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, 75 degrees, winds from the east at 5 to 15 miles per hour with seas of 1 to 2 feet. Water temperatures now is getting near 70 degrees, and make sure to have the sunblock handy for the midday with that UV index of 9. Take a look at the Delaware Bay. Scattered thunderstorms, 80 degrees, winds from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour with seas of less than 1 foot expected. And then the Chesapeake Bay, scattered thunderstorms as well, a little bit warmer at 84 degrees, winds from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour with seas of less than 1 foot expected on the Chesapeake. Now, going into the overnight hours tomorrow night, we're still going to be having some leftover scattered thunderstorms, but it will be cooling off a couple degrees as well with overnight lows, 65 to 68 degrees with some light winds from the south at about 5 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at that extended outlook because after tomorrow, that's going to be the last day that we're going to be seeing the very warm and humid temperatures as well, because going into this weekend, we're going to drop about 10 to even 15 degrees. We're going to take out the humidity as well, and a beautiful weekend's in store. Friday, Saturday, mostly sunny, 80 degrees. Sunday, even cooler at 75 and partly sunny. And then we have a slight warm-up trend going into the early portions of next week, getting back into the 80s, and we will be introducing some more rain chances for both Tuesday and Wednesday.
Coming up, President Biden is set to send more military assistance to Ukraine. More details straight ahead. Keep it here. President Biden is set to send more military assistance to Ukraine. The Biden administration has announced that it will send additional advanced rocket systems and other U.S. weaponry to Ukraine to assist the country in its war against Russia. The package includes missiles that will be able to strike locations as far as 80 kilometers away. The announcement comes as Russia gains significant ground in Ukraine. Officials hope that the latest package will help Ukrainian forces ward off further attacks as the war rages into its third month.
Weather Classroom is sponsored by No Nonsense Office Machines, committed to providing quality products and services with over 15 years of experience here in Sussex County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's weather lesson, we will be going over one of the most crucial devices that you can have in your home to protect not only yourself and your family, especially during severe weather, is a NOAA weather radio. Now, a NOAA Weather Radio All Hazards, or NWR for short, is a nationwide network of radio stations broadcasting continuous weather information directly from the nearest National Weather Service office. NWR broadcasts official Weather Service warnings, watches, forecasts, and any other hazardous information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Working with the Federal Communication Commission's FCC Emergency Alert System, NWR is a all-hazards radio network, making it your single source for comprehensive weather and emergency information, in conjunction with the federal, state, and local emergency managers and any other public officials. NWR also broadcasts warnings and post-event information for all different types of weather hazards, including such as earthquakes, avalanches, environmental concerns like with chemical releases or oil spills, and even public safety such as Amber Alerts or 911 telephone outages. Known for the voice of NOAA's National Weather Service, NWR is provided as a public service by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, part of the Department of Commerce. NWR includes more than 1,000 transmitters covering all 50 states, adjacent coastal waters, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the U.S. Pacific Territories. NWR requires a special radio just like this Midland USA radio that they provide as a receiver or a scanner capable of picking up the signal. Broadcasts are also found in the VHF public service band at 7 different frequencies.
Well, that about does it for us today, Delmarva. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at TV Delmarva and on our website, tvdelmarva.com, for real-time news and weather updates. And while you're there, be sure to sign our petition calling on the major cable providers to carry TV Delmarva on their platforms so we can provide this kind of local programming to all of Delmarva. Until next time, I'm Rob Petrie reporting for TV Delmarva Channel 14 News.